In a state this big, every vote tells a story. As the nation watches the Lone Star State, we go beyond the headlines to bring you the voices shaping our future. With exclusive candidate access and expert analysis of the most contested districts in the country, we are your front row seat to the fight for the future. Welcome to Battleground Texas.
I'm Greg Grugan in Houston.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
And I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas, and this is Battleground Texas. We want to start our show with an executive order that President Trump signed this week, directing the creation of a nationwide eligible voter list that will be hopefully implemented, according to President Trump, for this upcoming midterm election. The directive instructs the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to compile a nationwide database of verified U.S. citizens that are eligible to vote. It also requires the post office to put in new safeguards like tracking barcodes and security envelopes for all mail-in ballots. The White House says that the measure will strengthen election integrity and prevent fraud.
I don't know how it can be challenged. You'll probably challenge it. You may find a rogue judge. You got a lot of rogue judges, very bad people, very bad judges.
The United States Constitution delegates authority over election administration law to the states and to Congress, and specifically not the president.
Now, several state officials and voting rights groups are already preparing swift legal challenges, arguing that the mandate is unconstitutional federal overreach in state-run elections.
All right, shifting gears now to the race for the U.S. Senate. A new poll commissioned by the Democrat-aligned Senate Majority PAC shows Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton holding a steady lead over Senator John Cornyn. As the data suggests, the incumbent senator's support remains softer and more vulnerable. The survey conducted by GQR, which claims to be nonpartisan, found Paxton ahead 47 to 42% among likely GOP runoff voters. But the gap is not just about the top line. Paxton supporters appear firmer, with 38% of voters describing themselves as strong supporters compared to 30% for Cornyn.
All right, the team behind James Tallarico, the Democrats' nominee in this race, was on X this week, posting part of an interview he did in which he said, quote, "People are ready for a politics of love, a radical love, especially for our neighbors who are the most different from us. That kind of politics could transform this country if we actually treated all of our neighbors as bearers of the image of the divine. How would our discourse look? How would our public policies look?"
All right, guys. So, Rudy, you first. What do you make of this poll?
All right, Greg, well, the poll from GQR is not a surprise. Look, it's a left-leaning consulting firm. Just look at the firm's website, and you can see it loaded with testimonials from Democrats, people like Mark Kelly, who has ideas that are so out there that they have already orbited the moon ahead of the Artemis crew. See you guys. Of course, you know, they want to build up Paxton. If he is the GOP nominee, polls show Tallarico, on average, wins in November. And the polling also shows, on average, Tallarico losing to John Cornyn. So, as we have said before a lot, polls are just snapshots, and the outcomes of the GOP runoff in November general election certainly not written in stone. But it's clear hardcore voters on the right ready to go full Thelma and Louise, jumping over the cliff with Paxton. Guys?
Greg, Attorney General Ken Paxton, for the March primary, led in a lot of these polls, and John Cornyn, the incumbent senator, was the one who got the most votes. Could we see a repeat of that happen in May?
Stephen, I remain fascinated by this Senate race and the granite hard moral relativism of Paxton's deeply entrenched support. I once joked that the impeached and indicted Attorney General could have been complicit in the crucifixion and the hard right, wouldn't bat an eye and simply issue a full pardon. Heading into April, it's no joke. So what's a four-term incumbent with a near-perfect pro-Trump voting record to do? Keep pounding away on Paxton's shady character, or shift the emphasis to practicality and the ticket topper's impact down ballot? In the battle for critical independence, I'm hardly alone in believing Cornyn does way better than Paxton, and thanks to stubborn inflation, ICE overreach, undelivered Trump promises of prosperity, and an unpopular shooting war, the Texas GOP's cushion has significantly eroded. Could this be the year Republican hubris catches up with them? Welcome back. Let's shift now to the governor's race. Democrat Gina Hinojosa blaming decades of Republican leadership for the affordability gap so many households are struggling in Texas to fill. And Governor Abbott stumping this week across the state, promoting his plans for insurance and property tax relief. On Battleground Texas, we have them both.
I think at this point, it's the vast majority of us who are struggling. I mean, even people who are in professional jobs are struggling to make ends meet. It is just now where a full-time job does not guarantee you a middle-class lifestyle where you can hope to own your own home, take a vacation, make your car payment. Like those kinds of things that when you and I were growing up were just part of a full-time job being a middle-class American, they're out of reach for too many Texans. So what I would say is, because we have government that does the bidding of the billionaire donors, of those people who are making more and more and more at the top, the probably 0.1% at this point, we are all paying more and getting less. They distract us with the culture wars, right? They pit us against each other with one hand while they take our money with the other. And so Texans are tired of it. We see through it now.
Under Supreme Court decisions, they approved taking money from one wealthy school district and sending that money to some other part of the state of Texas. So it could be Midland, it could be Highland Park, it could be some jurisdictions around here in the Houston area, wherever. But that reshuffling will come to an end when we pass my plan to slash property taxes in Texas. But as I tell people, listen, when we get this property tax relief passed, well, we also passed another issue that we have to get passed, and that is insurance relief, where insurance is going up far faster than inflation, whether you're a business or a homeowner or auto owner, whatever the case may be. When we get all this done, Texas may be the most affordable state in the United States. And you know what happens after that, right? More people are going to start moving in. Not just from California and New York, but from Mississippi and Alabama and Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. There's going to be a real problem. But don't think...
Okay, guys, Gina Hinojosa contending that everyday Texans have been played by the Republicans while the rich get richer. And Greg Abbott, he's promoting the state's status as an economic and employment powerhouse under his business-friendly policies. Rudy, are there enough voters out there struggling to make ends meet to trust and give Hinojosa and the Democrats with the helm of the world's 8th biggest economy?
You know, Greg, tabletop issues are always important every year, every election cycle. But if oil prices come down by August, that campaign cry from Hinojosa and other Democrats may fall flat. And we also know Abbott has already started pointing out that the hard left has some policies that are just really hard left. Hinojosa and other Democrats have voted for no voter ID, gender identity, open borders, and try as they may, the airport TSA crisis is an issue that they just can't shake. Plus, the images from the recent No Kings dog and pony show, that hurt the campaign pitch of unity and love, marching with communist flags, mourning the death of an Iranian leadership, celebrating the death of American troops, calling for the extermination of Jews. You know, guys, that's a bad look. Every time I think the Republicans are messing it up, The Democrats say, hold my beer. Greg?
All right, Stephen. Hinojosa talks a pretty mean game about restoring affordability and middle-class prosperity, but frankly, we haven't seen or heard any specifics other than somehow cutting out Abbott donors from lucrative contracts. I mean, at some point, will voters demand a policy position that goes beyond, I'm going to do it differently than the Republicans?
I honestly don't think so, and I think that's just what 2026 politics looks like, at least for now. There was a time where, voters would really hold candidates on both sides to account when it comes to what is your plan, what actually is your plan, what is your policy. Now it's so divisive. It's just either you're with this guy or you're not with this guy, and so I think that's one of the biggest things. And then the other thing is out of both parties' control, and that's the economy nationwide. Like Rudy said, if things change with the war, then gas prices will go down. And so Democrats won't be able to campaign on things like that.
I'm Atiana San Miguel. Thank you for watching our story. If you'd like to see more like it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to watch us weekday mornings at 7 and 11 a.m. on KCWX. Bye. See you on the next one.